Hi, everybody. It has been a while since I have shared any of the work I'm doing around the AutoEDGE framework, so I figured it was about time. I've been very busy with clients in some other verticals, but having to come back to this a little bit and show you some new stuff. So what we've got here is what I call an Automotive OS Dynamic Heat Map. Now, this dynamic heat map could be applied to any particular set of problems that we're looking at in order to derive some objective results from very subjective things. That's the idea here, right? Because we can talk and talk and talk and never really put anything on paper that points us in the right direction. So this is a tool that I've developed as part of the AutoEdge framework that allows organizations to go through and score, if you will, a particular application or platform or service or whatever it is. And this one that you see here is a very limited version of it. I have 30 some different automotive OS dimensions here listed on the left-hand side. Everything from application ecosystem to safety to scalability to RTOS, modularity, multitasking, you name it. And again, I have my full-blown version of this is about 100. And this ties into the full automotive edge architecture that is being put together. Now, I use this with my clients to sit down and really separate the wheat from the chaff because there are so many different options out there. Now, this particular example, again, for demonstration purposes, we've got 5 different automotive OSs here, and we are doing a little bit of apples to oranges comparison because they are quite different. Some are more geared towards entertainment, others would be more geared towards the actual movement of the vehicle and control of the systems. But I think you'll get the idea looking at this. So again, as I had mentioned, on the left-hand side, we have the different dimensions. And at the very bottom, you'll see something called cumulative score, average and weighted priority average. I'll get to those in just a minute. If we look at the BlackBerry QNX column here, the second column, you'll notice that I've got comments here next to these different dimensions. So for example, if we're looking at application ecosystem and we're talking about BlackBerry QNX, there is a QNX apps ecosystem. Now, that ecosystem is somewhat closed, right? It's not an Android app ecosystem like you would have with some other OS. So I've kind of marked it down, right? These scores are subjective, but they're based on my market research. They're based on my own opinion. They're based on the inputs of others to get to a general score. And this is very iterative. So the more we work on this model, the sharper it gets. And this is where I think that there's a good opportunity for collaboration. So once again, if we go back to this, the score is a 6. Now, in the column next to score, you're going to see CWS. This means client weighted score, because just because we assign a value to a particular attribute of an operating system doesn't mean it's necessarily important to us. And that's where the dynamic part of this heat map comes into play. So if I go all the way over here to the right and I look at this column that says client priority over here, I can adjust this value. And if I look just to the left of this, we also see the client business relevance. So if we're looking at application ecosystem, why do we care? Well, we care because it opens up potential revenue streams, partnerships, and enhances the overall user experience, right? That's kind of a short description here. And if we want to get even shorter, let's call it monetization. But let's say that we're building an automotive OS for a closed system. We don't care what apps are available to it. And so this item is highly de-emphasized for us in our decision-making process. Well, we can come over here and say, you know what, the client priority, I've been working with my client, we've discussed this, it's really just a 1. Nobody cares about that. Now, you'll notice when I enter the 1, it changes the whole heat map because now we've reweighted everything. And if we look here next to where it says QNX apps, we have a score of 6, but because we've said it's a 1 priority, it's now worth 0.6. And we can see it changes the color correspondingly. And we can do the same thing here. We can come down and say, well, you know, real-time operating system is not important to us. This is some device that doesn't need a lot of RTOS type processing. Let's give it a 3. And again, you see we make the adjustment here, automatically affects the heat map. And then come down to security. Let's say that security, We don't care. And I, for my security people, I know you'll get stressed about this, but let's just say it's a 1 and we change that as well. So this changes the overall heat map, and we can start to draw a better picture of what it is we should be looking at. And we might say, well, out of these 5 products, 2 are probably where we should focus our time. The other 3, let's move them out. And I've done heat maps like this that have 20 different products or services in them. So they can get very complex, multiple pages. But I want to give you an idea of how I work with my customers to do this type of thing. Also, I'm going to make a note here, and some folks won't like this, but if you're working with a company that's helping you make the decisions around what you're going to pick for an OS or applications or components, be sure you get objective opinions, because they're going to tell you what they want you to hear. They're going to want you to buy their product at the end of the day. And I think that there's a real need for consulting outside of that closed in stack. So make sure you're doing that with folks like me, to make sure that you get a very unbiased type view into your options. Now, I've also included down here at the very bottom a dimension comment key, because I don't have a lot of room here for putting things. So I'll make a comment, and then down here, I'll explain to you what that comment means. So if I said something like modular design and applied a score, what I'm saying is that it's built with modularity, but might have proprietary limitations, right? So these are my comments here. And if we look at the very bottom of the screen here to close us out, you will see the cumulative score for both the weighted and the unweighted, right? Unweighted, weighted. You will see an average for the unweighted, and then a weighted priority average here in the second column, right? So we can see the delta between the two. So I think this is helpful. And as I said before, we can go ahead and talk a lot about developing SDV, and we can have a lot of meetings about it. But until we start getting stuff on paper and have some objective thought, I don't think we're getting anywhere. In any case, if you're interested in this, you'd like to know more about it, drop me a line and we can definitely talk. And I look forward to speaking with you.